All right, everyone, welcome to our Ultimate Prime Day Prep Kit webinar here. Give people a little bit of time to drop in and give just some basic information while we're waiting on that. So yes, we are recording today's webinar. That is in progress now, and we will be providing the recording to you within 24 hours of the end of the webinar today. So no worries if you can't stick around the whole time, but we hope that you will be able to. We are taking questions during the webinar. You can start dropping in your questions now. Just remember to put those questions into the Q&A and not into the chat. The chat is great to say hello to everybody and tell us where you're calling in from, or if you need to let us know about any problems, like you can't hear me, you can't see me, that kind of thing. But questions should go into the Q&A so that panelists can see those and answer them easily. All right, so we have two purposes for being here today. As many of you know, a lot of you signed up for the Ultimate Prime Day Prep Kit webinar. We're excited to tell you about all of those things, but I think a lot of you also joined us today because you saw our recent announcements on social media, or because you are a current client of ours and you received an email and you know that there has been an acquisition of the Stellar Labs services team by AO2 Management. So that's what we're going to dive into here first today. We've got some great people here to talk about that. So we'll go ahead and jump right in. Just so you know who you're talking with today, your hosts are Brandon Checketts, Nathan Neely, myself, Jessica Wright, and Aman Advani. We are here to talk about, as I said, the acquisition as well as the Prime Day Prep Kit, but we're going to jump in first to the acquisition, and I'll let Brandon do a little intro of himself for you.
Oh yeah, thanks. So it's good to be here. I think I've been in the e-commerce industry for a long time now. Founded Stellar Labs, I don't know, a long time ago, 2012 timeframe. So we've been doing this for a long time. As you know, if you followed Stellar Labs, we started out and had our initial product, Feedback Genius. We've had our advertising products. We started our advertising management section of our business around 2016 or 2017, and that's just been growing and growing and growing. And so that's kind of outgrown the software business that we had. And so as we were looking at what it took to bring it to the next level, that's why we are here today. So I've got a big background in, business in general and largely on the technical side of things. So a lot of my things that are mentioned on the screen there are from technical stuff that we've done. And we've got a big breadth of experience in the Amazon technical APIs and all that kind of stuff. And then, so we have that on the Stellar Labs side, and Stellar Labs will continue to do the software that you all know. And on the management and the account management side, AO2 has been taking over all that kind of stuff, and we're happy to go from there. And let Nathan, I guess, talk about his side of things.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Great to be here. Yeah, I guess you can see it on the screen, just a quick year-by-year play of all the things that myself and the team have been doing the last 6 years. When started selling on Amazon, founded AO2 Management. We merged with an agency called Jungle Ops back in 2019. We had created 3 different internal softwares for us to grow and scale our clients. And after that, we founded a aggregator accelerator fund called Kaizen, which is our sister company. And this last year we managed 10 million in ad spend, which was great. And I think the last note here, which I think the article, it's not out yet, so.
And I think we just lost Nate a little bit during his shining moment where he was going to mention that AO2 has been awarded top 10 marketing service providers in an article that is not yet out. I don't know, Aman, if you have any additional details to add to that, but pretty big deal. And I think that really, is big for this acquisition, just knowing that, Stellar Labs is being cared for in the same way that Stellar Labs has been up until this point, or the services team specifically. Hoping we'll get Nate back because we're about to jump into some discussion with Nate and Brandon. But until then, I'll ask real quick a question of Brandon. So since, this all started with Seller Labs, can you give us a little bit more background on the decision to sell the services division and how you arrived at like AO2?
Yeah, there's a kind of an interesting story there, I guess. So as I mentioned, we've been doing Seller Lab. We started out as a software company. We've been a software company all along. We launched when Amazon advertising started to become a thing around 2016, 2017. We were the first or one of the very first ones that had an advertising solution built upon the Amazon advertising API, in addition to all the other APIs that they have. And so, right away, we started getting questions from customers was like, I don't understand advertising. Can you guys just do it for me? That was one of the most frequently asked questions. Was we were building software to do Amazon advertising, and some people were somewhat familiar with Google, but even a lot of people, Amazon sellers, were not even familiar with like traditional Google ad type of stuff. And so Amazon advertising was brand new, and there was just a lot of questions about it. It's a little bit different than doing it on Google, even if you had some background, some familiarity with that. So it just we'd have built the software for a year or so before we decided, we really need to we really need to have a service where we do this for our customers. And we were a little bit ahead because we had access to some of these things, but we were kind of learning as we went, as many people are in the industry, that things change so rapidly. So fast forward several years, our team has grown from, I think we started out with 1 or 2 people. We didn't even know what the structure of the team was. I remember like we just had software, and I think we had Ed with us, who was just kind of like the guy and didn't have a team for it, didn't have any processes around it. And so that's grown up, that grew from 1 person to 2 people to 10 people to 40 people. And it got to be a point where it's like, wow, this is actually this is a completely separate business from the Seller Lab software that we were also doing simultaneously. And so we were looking at, how do we continue to grow this and grow it to the next level? And really the decision was like, we really need to separate it out to a separate business. So if we're separating this out to a separate business, how do we get like a business owner in charge of there and all that kind of stuff with that? And so we started to work with, we worked with a number of people, kind of like, trying this out, figuring out how it might work. And then when we came across Nathan through some mutual contacts, we've got many friends of friends and stuff like that in the industry. Nathan and I just hit it off really well. I think we have the same sort of worldview, sort of optimistic. Things are going really well. It's very positive. I think we both treat our employees and our customers very well. And so from a culture perspective, a lot of things just seemed to align. And as we got more and more in there, Nathan had a lot of those things as far as like building out processes and putting together teams that made a lot of sense with what he'd done with AO2. So I don't know if you want to share a little bit of your perspective on that, Nathan, but that's kind of my perspective going into it. Is the growth that we had, it really became evident that we needed to treat Seller Labs software as a very different organization than the agency side. And I think a lot of our customers in here are business owners as well, and you kind of understand that. Like we have business metrics we pay attention to, and a lot of those things were getting kind of cloudy when we had a lot of shared roles and shared things. So I think from a business owner perspective, it makes a lot of sense to treat them as separate entities.
Yeah. Thanks. Sorry about that Wi-Fi issue, but I'm back. So I remember when I was first learning about Amazon, I was, like Seller Labs was it. I mean, that was where I remember going to for all my information and, all the softwares and everything that Brandon's built. And so, I have, it feels kind of like a dream come true. Fast forwarding all these years later and being able to work, directly with Brandon to make this deal happen. But yeah, I just, as soon as I got to know Brandon, closer, and like we have a lot of mutual connections, ironically, in and outside the Amazon space. And so I just knew he was a great guy that I'd want to work with, really look up to Jeff Cohen as well. And so once we started looking at the clients and all we could do to help with, how we do Amazon full management, which is a little different, as well as getting to know the team. I mean, the team is absolutely incredible. I knew that this was going to be the right fit. We've also had basically two merges and acquisitions at AO2 previously. And so We've been through this before. And so we have not only processes for our clients, but also for how we can have a transition, go more, be a bit more seamless than one might expect. So all those things kind of put together the right fit.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so, Nathan, you kind of already touched on this, but since you mentioned it, what's different about what AO2 management offers than what Seller Labs has offered, or what kind of are the benefits that clients or sellers might see over the next, 12 months or so because of this?
Yeah, thank you. Reporting is going to change. We have custom reporting. We do full operations on Amazon. We have a few Amazon employees, which are always extremely helpful. And just doing all of the off Amazon advertising management as well, doing, basically every single platform, mainly, Google, Facebook, Walmart, Wayfair, a lot of just Shopify and website optimization and management, email marketing. So being able to have all those extra off Amazon outside of just PPC, I think is what, if I was a seller, I'd be really excited about, because it's helpful when you have one person that's able to manage everything. And when you have that one person that understands your product, you can make sure, like, the left hand's talking to the right. You can make sure that your inventory is in check, that your operations are there, that your, listing optimization and creative is there, so that you can have great PPC results. Because, you got to have that conversion first, traffic second. So yeah, I would say if I was a seller, I'd be really excited for all of that.
So to add to that a little bit, like, that's one of the things we were, Seller Labs services had been offering or trying to offer, external things like your Facebook ad management and your Google ad management stuff. And we were doing those, but on a really small scale. And I think AO2 brings the ability to really have a leveled up version of those services already figured out and already optimized. So, and then, like Nathan said, have the same account manager that already knows your products to run those things is super beneficial. So I think it's a really great thing for all the Seller Labs services customers as well.
Yeah, and I think just having a bit more of a team behind each of the account managers. So the account manager is definitely, there as the quarterback, making sure everything's going well with the account, but also we have this team, whether it's, ex-Amazon employees or, recently our new director of advertising, Martin, he managed one of, if not, I think it's now the largest aggregator as their director of advertising. And so, he understands how to manage, a massive portfolio, and him being able to come in and help on the ads, working with our systems that are, proven over the years, is going to help every client that, is currently working with Seller Labs and now is working with AO2. I see it on there, AO2 powered by Seller Labs.
Awesome. One thing we had a question pop in from a viewer, so I wanted to take this time just really quickly to remind everyone we are taking questions. We may not be able to answer all of the questions about the acquisition right now here in live. So if we miss your question, we will get back to you after the webinar for sure. But there is one that came up that I want to go ahead and ask now, just because we talked about what are the benefits, what are the things that clients who will now be managed by AO2 will be gaining from this. One of the questions that came in is about what might be staying on the Seller Lab side. So this one, Brandon, is probably for you. The question is, Seller Lab apps are not being acquired by AO2 marketing service, or
Correct.
Are not being acquired only marketing service like Amazon, Google, PPC, SEO, that sort of thing. So what is the status of Seller Labs apps?
Correct. So let's like double state that and make sure that's very, very clear. Like the portion of business that AO2 is taking over is that if you were a managed services customer, you had an account and you had an account manager that you would talk to bi-weekly. That's the section of business that's going from Seller Labs. We've called it Seller Labs services or Seller Labs managed services in the past. And those are customers that specifically had an engagement to manage their advertising or manage their products for them. So that's a service that's a very much more hands-on account manager type of feel. that section of business is going over to AO2 marketing. And all the same account managers, all the same team basically, but just got some different leadership there and a bigger team overall. And then all the software stack, the software products you're used to, the Seller Labs Pro stuff, or historically what was Feedback Genius and Ignite and Scope, those are all still staying Seller Labs. And nothing's really changing with your products right now, except that we'll talk about this a little bit. We're using a lot of the feedback that we're able to get from AO2 marketing, which is going into feeds and make our products better. So, which has been the goal all along, but I think we'll have a much more streamlined way of doing that now with the enhanced, just kind of the way that they handle processes and feedback loops and stuff. So if you're a Seller Labs customer and you're paying for our software, nothing really changes for you on that respect. It'll still be the same thing there, except I think we'll see a more rapid improvement as not only we'll get the feedback in incorporating that feedback a lot more explicitly and directly, but also just the kind of the focus from our software team will be more focused on that as well. So I think that a lot of good things to work on there. And I like the slide that you've got up right now, Jessica, where it says AO2 is powered by Seller Labs. Like really the Data Hub product that we have been building, if you're not familiar with that, it's a data connection where you have all of your Amazon data in a database and you can access it from Excel or Google Sheets or a lot of visualization tools. Like that's really the underlying data that's powering a lot of this stuff, that will be powering a lot of this stuff on AO2's side too. So that's the stuff that we have been doing on Seller Lab services. So they're basically integrating a lot of those data automation stuff, or like automated reporting and all that kind of stuff into the AO2's systems and processes. So there'll just be a lot of feedback that we'll be sharing with each other and improving both teams.
Yeah, we're going to be the closest, partners in the space, working together, and I'm just really happy to be able to help help the software continue to grow, especially Data Hub. Really excited about that, and for the benefit that the software is going to bring all of our clients. But yes, AO2 did not acquire the software portion of the business.
And I think that answers one more question we had here, but I just want to make sure that I cross this one off real quick. So someone is asking if we are currently a Seller Labs customer just using the Pro software, nothing is going to change for them at this current time, correct? Oh, Brandon is on.
That's correct.
Yeah, you're correct. Everything will continue working as normal. Nothing really changes for you.
Perfect. All right. So a little bit more then about what we can expect moving forward and what's going to be, new coming out of this partnership for the rest of the year. Nathan, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Jess, I'm excited to do some webinars with you. I think we have a really fun series, a summer series that's coming out. And we'll be doing a lot of webinars. I'm excited to help the software grow. Data Hub and everything it's really cool. And yeah, I think, what I might see out of the partnership, I'm hoping to have an influence, to help the Seller Lab software to grow again. Like, I think, Brandon really reshaped the industry, and like, he's done so much that, I'm looking forward to being able to see Data Hub and all these software pieces of the business to be able to grow, and for those to help our clients.
All great. Also, we've kind of touched on this slide a little bit, but do we want to talk, really directly about it? Is the name changing? Is AO2 powered by Seller Labs? Is that just kind of a tagline for this webinar, or is that a new name? What is that about?
It's I guess it's a current tagline we're going with. It really kind of puts it into perspective that, AO2 and Seller Labs are separate. However, the Seller Labs software is going to be powering, right, AO2. So yeah, stay tuned for, like any official name changes, but for now, AO2 powered by Seller Labs sounds pretty good.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. We like it. All right. And then another thing you already touched on a little bit, Nathan, sorry, you just went back on mute and I'm going to bug you again. But you talked about custom reporting or how things are going to change with the reporting. And I think Brandon did a little bit too, talking about how things will be powered on the back end. Anything else you want to add about the reporting that clients or potential future clients will see with AO2?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a lot of reporting, and a lot of it also tracks your organic ranking and a lot of non-PPC related reporting, which you really just need on Amazon. So like for anyone who's here that has worked with Seller Labs services or is, that is definitely something that we're going to be giving out to all of our clients, and I would be excited for, because there's only so much you could see within the PPC reporting. You need that holistic whole review of your entire account to be able to grow on the organic side as well. So that's exciting. We have our own custom reporting that we do where we pull it from Amazon's API, and we're going to be integrating that with Data Hub. So we're doing a lot of fun stuff with Will Christensen and the rest of the team. But yeah, reporting, there's a lot that goes into that, but we have weekly and monthly reporting, so that's going to change. And we also have a lot of just random custom reports. Another spoiler alert, I think it's something we're giving away at the end of the webinar, which is a free analysis of the inventory fees that you're currently getting charged, which helps you know how much you should be discounting on Prime Day, because you got to get rid of that inventory before you start to get those surcharges. So, just reports like that, I think are extremely helpful. And yeah, stay tuned to the end to see how you can get that for free.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things and one of the reasons that I think AO2 is a great fit here is because a lot of the Seller Lab services reporting and the work that we were doing was, I would say, 90% on the advertising side. And so, but I think the little bigger picture of looking at everything like your listings and your inventory and all that other stuff is really going to offer more value to our customers there. So not just on advertising, but stepping into a little bit bigger business perspective than just advertising results. Yeah.
And quick example, I know we're running out of time. We're going to update your SEO, or right, like update your listings, bring in new keywords, read the tea leaves, understand which keywords to add. Our team will update those, and then we will track the organic ranking of that listing for all those keywords that we're going after. And that's something you'd be getting on a monthly basis. You can see, wow, that SEO that we, put the work in is now bringing dividends to our account with what we're ranking for. So yeah, exciting stuff.
Awesome. Really great information. Thank you both so much. As Nate mentioned, we are starting to run short on time with both Nathan and Brandon. We appreciate so much both of you being here. We've got about 5 minutes left. So just a reminder, anyone who has a question specifically about this acquisition or the changes coming for Seller Labs or AO2, make sure you're dropping those in the Q&A now. We'll try and answer a couple more really quickly. And then we are making the switch to talking about Prime Day prep and, getting you ready for that big Amazon event at the half hour. So a couple more questions here I'm going to throw to you guys. Someone is asking timeline when things will be implemented. And I know we've talked about a lot of different things. So I think the answer is probably different across the various things we've talked about, but kind of immediately for a lot of things, right?
Yeah, I'd say we've been working on this for a month already. So we've got some stuff well underway. So I think it will just, if you're an existing Seller Lab Services customer, like the logo might change in the corner of your report 1 week, right? And then the report might have an extra column on it. Then it won't be like super overnight. I think it'll evolve a little bit. And you might clarify a little bit more there, Nathan, but yeah, I don't think you'll see a dramatic change one day overnight. It'll be a little bit more gradual than that.
Yeah, every account manager will stay the same. We're just bringing in an entire team behind them to help of specialists on each vertical of Amazon and off of Amazon. So not much is going to change, except you'll see a different logo in on reports or invoices or anything like that coming in the next month or so. I saw another question here, if I could jump in, because this is an important one. Do you guys plan to increase prices for Stellar Labs service customers in the upcoming 12 months? No. Big answer is no. All we're going to be able to do is provide additional services, which those would cost different amounts just depending on the service, but we want to keep everything the same, right? The worst thing is to have big changes, and we don't want to do that, right? Like, so rest assured, no price changes will be coming there. I could read off, it looks like we have a few more. Did I hear correctly? You are able to manage Walmart as well, and you manage Shopify. Great. So yes, answer is yes to that. We do Walmart, and we also manage Shopify. Shopify, there's a lot that goes into that, but and Aman, who will be jumping on talking about Prime Day, maybe he can get into it more because I know we're running out of time, but that encompasses everything from doing SEO to images, all of your emails, tracking, data, everything that would go into Shopify. We have a few different packages that you can pick from. And Davey, when can we access the new reporting? Great question. I really want to integrate it with Data Hub. And so that way we could bring our great custom reports with what Data Hub's doing, where they're pulling it directly out of the API, which is nice. So I don't have an exact ETA on that. I wish I could say, but we're still working with the team, with the Data Hub team on that. But we will have it during Q3.
I think, Brandon, were you going to chime in on something too, or was it?
No, I think that I just wanted to make sure we addressed them. There was a couple of questions I saw around multiple marketplaces and stuff like that, and that's wanted to make sure that was well understood, is that the AO2 team can help with all your other marketplaces as well, because they've got some of that stuff figured out where we were just starting to dive into those and learn about them. So, and then, you know, one of the other things we're working on there is in the background, we're always working on trying to automate that with APIs and data and stuff like that. So we're working on those as fast as we can to get them integrated and stuff. So new data sources coming in from that side, and then also some of that data sources being put into the reports and things like that. There's quite a few people working on this from both sides now. So, and it's helped to make some clarity between which team is doing which.
And that, Brandon, kind of goes into one more question we have here, which was how will Stellar Labs be helping AO2 clients? I think that you kind of just really answered that one, but if you have anything else to elaborate on that.
I mean, yeah, so I don't know if this webinar got posted to AO2 clients as well. So if you're an existing AO2 client, I think the expectation from your side would be, more automation around some of those reports so that your account managers are able to focus on more of the higher level tasks. And some of the lower level tasks like gathering and ingesting data will be more streamlined and more just automated, so they don't have to spend their time doing those things. So I think if you're an AO2 customer on this already, like that's a great thing for that side of the business as well, because it'll free up your account manager and your existing account management team to be able to offer a wider variety of things and go a little bit deeper on things, because a lot of that it will be automated.
Yeah, automated. That's a great way to put it. We will have more people and more systems to be able to grow each of our accounts. And you'll also get to meet, Ed, who Brandon mentioned earlier, who's been a day one all-star from Stellar Labs. If you're one of our AO2 clients, you'll be able to work with him. He's the director of services. So yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing I might say too is and you might have to correct me if I'm incorrect here, Nathan, but I think with a bigger team, like everybody tends to specialize on a little bit of things. So you've got a bigger number of specialists that can work on specific things, right? So a lot of account managers kind of general purpose and then also specialize in a little subset of something. So you'll get more experts that go deeper into things with a combined larger team.
Absolutely.
All right, one minute left here with the two
Okay.
of you. And there is one more question that's come in that I do want to make sure we answer in this next minute. Then I'll let you guys just give us some parting words and we'll let you get back to your day because we really do appreciate the time that both of you have given us. What is Data Hub? I'm an AO2 customer and don't currently have access to any reports, I think it's saying. But what is Data Hub? We've talked about it a little bit, but can we give people a little bit more of a teaser about what to expect with Data Hub? Oh, Brandon, you're, yep.
So Seller Labs has a product that we launched probably not quite a year ago called Data Hub. And essentially what we're doing is we're automatically pulling in all these sort of various Amazon reports. So the listings reports, your advertising reports, your inventory reports, all that kind of stuff, and sticking it in a database. And Data Hub gives you raw access to that database. So if you're a technical person and you want to talk to it with SQL, you can do that. We can give you an SQL connection. If you like to use Google Sheets or Excel for like generating reports and stuff, there's connectors for both of those tools where you can use some formulas and stuff to access the data that's already there. So you don't have to download your reports. It's just kind of like this report sign itself updates. And then we also have an API. Again, if you're a technical or have a development team on there, you can use our API to access that. So the Data Hub's just kind of the underlying connection of data that everybody kind of needs to get to build insights on top of that.
Yeah. And so a great way to put it is Data Hub is really good at pulling data from Amazon's API, like streamlining that process. And then AO2, because we've been doing the full management for 6 years, we know what kind of reports we should be pulling. And so we're working with Data Hub to make sure that we're able to pull the right reports in an optimized fashion.
Great.
Awesome.
Well, thank you guys. Oh, sorry, Brand, go ahead.
No, I said awesome. Great explanation. So.
All right, well, we're going to start transitioning and let you guys get out of here, but I just want to let all of the attendees know, if you have more questions about the acquisition, please go ahead. You can still drop those in the Q&A. We will capture that information and we'll be able to follow up with you directly after the fact. So keep those questions coming. Everyone else, if you have questions about Prime Day, you can start dropping those in now because we're going to start talking about that in just a minute. But wanted to give you guys just another chance if there's anything you want to say, any parting remarks. Brandon, couple more seconds here to
yeah, sorry, I know we want to make room for Prime Day, so if you have any questions directly for me, feel free to reach out on LinkedIn or email. Happy to answer those or whatever. And then yeah, I'll go ahead and switch to listen only mode so I can catch up on all the Prime Day stuff.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brandon. We appreciate you. All right, Nathan, anything from you?
No, appreciate you, Jess. Thank you everyone for being here. We'll let you get to Prime Day, but I'm looking forward to having more webinars the rest of this year where we can go over all the questions that you have. So please keep asking the questions. It'll help us, build a good script for it. The next webinar. And yeah, I'm again really excited about this. This is a positive change for everyone and for all of our clients and any sellers out there who are looking for help to grow their sales and grow their profit. But thank you.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here and taking the time today. And now we're finally going to get to talk with Aman, who has been patiently waiting throughout all this discussion about the acquisition. So Aman, thank you for joining us today. And let's give you a chance to go ahead and do a little intro for yourself.
My water, keeping my throat nice and not parched. It got dry just waiting all that time. But no, happy to be here with Nathan and Brandon and yourself. But for everyone who doesn't know me, my name's Aman, and I'm the Senior Director of Ops here at AO2. And, really working closely alongside Nathan the last few years, we've been able to systemize and grow our agency to be able to have this awesome partnership and acquisition with Seller Labs, and then hopefully do the same thing and systemize and grow together, increase the reporting, do all those great things that we were talking about. So I'm really excited to be here and just having that, track record of growing our clients and being able to expand into other channels and other sections of the business. I'm excited to bring that to all of the Seller Labs clients as well.
Yeah, I agree. This is a really exciting time for everyone. And, exciting time to be doing this right at the start of, Amazon's big premier shopping event for the year, Prime Day. So we get this opportunity to bring you this webinar with information coming from both sides of this team that are coming together, and bring you even more expertise and even more experts to help you out with preparing for Prime Day. So I've just switched over to a screen here, and Aman, if you want to help me out, we've got some Prime Day stats up, and I think they're pretty, I don't know, it's pretty staggering information to me, but do you want to read through some of those and just kind of let people know what really they're preparing for Prime Day?
Definitely. So I know we have over 200 million Amazon Prime members globally, right? And from my numbers, at least the research I did, I think around 120 million of those are in the US alone. So that's almost 1 in every 3 adults. So almost, I want to say, like, you can almost average that out to say half of households probably have a Prime membership. So just the reach that the Prime is quite staggering, especially when you compare it to its growth and start, back in like 2012. The amount it's grown each year has been quite exponential. And there's specific categories that I'd like to kind of highlight as well that have really grown. One of the biggest being grocery and gourmet food, which over the last year experienced about a 68% year-over-year growth, specifically for Prime Day. So with AO2, a lot of our clients have historically been in that gourmet grocery category. And we have noticed that the demand and kind of like all these new superfoods and all these new nutrients and ingredients that are popping up in the market have spurred growth specifically for that category. And, it's kind of translating as a whole. You see each year more and more brands kind of jumping on Prime Day. So 200 million Amazon Prime members globally means that each year this event's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm glad you went into some of those subcategories, because it's been really interesting year over year to see what does well on Prime Day. I think, in the past, we've really looked to Prime Day to be the deal event for your large electronic purchases and, Amazon devices and things like that. And in recent years, people have been going for more essentials, right? More of those things they need for daily use at the house. And that's been a big shift, and also a huge open door for so many more brands who haven't really been able to participate in Prime Day maybe the way they would have wanted to in the past.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And like, I think last year the statistic was something like $3 billion spent on like those consumables specifically. So yeah, I think Prime Day is now officially the second largest sales event of the year after holiday shopping on Amazon. So, every summer it's super important to be prepped. And I know we're about a week away from getting that official announcement on the date. So they're usually around the middle of July that they hold the Prime Day. So this is a great time to definitely catch up on all those last minute tips and tricks and get everything prepped, because this is a big deal for basically every category.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to jump over now to a couple more stats before we get into the meat of this, and just give you some information about the advertising stats for Prime Day on Amazon. Anyone who knows me, who has ever seen me on one of these webinars or talked to me in the course of their connection with Stellar Labs, I am not the advertising person. I know lots of things about Amazon, about many areas of Amazon. I've been doing this for like 15 years. Amazon advertising is still a black hole to me. So Aman, I'm going to again throw this slide over to you. We've got some stats up here if you want to talk around any of these or just anything else that's super important to kind of know high level about advertising on Prime Day.
100%. And, with a background in advertising, Jess, I'm happy to take it up here. Definitely don't have a background in Amazon operations like you do. So great to do the trade-off. But yeah, as Jess mentioned, advertising is always super vital. I do want to mention, kind of like how Brandon and Nathan were referring to, everything outside of advertising does influence your advertising. So obviously optimizing your detail pages, making sure you're including those high ranking keywords in your SEO, making sure like you have all your ingredients listed, and really making the offer as clear as possible to the buyer is where you want to start, right? Like you can't drive traffic to a non-optimized listing and expect conversions or sales to really jump. So I would say like step number one, optimize the listing. And then once you've done that, coming to the advertising side, you have to be advertising, whether it's Prime Day or not, to get any sort of real sales growth and traction on Amazon. And for long-term brands, really you want that split to be around 20 to 30% of your sales coming from the advertising side, with around 70 to 80% being organic. However, like depending on the stage your brand is in and what category you're in, those numbers will fluctuate, right? So it might be closer to a 50-50 split for the first couple of years, and then eventually you start trending toward that 60-40, 70-30, with organic taking over the bulk of your sales. But overall, having products in Prime, obviously step number one, and then really getting your product and organic ranking so that you display on the first page, specifically in the top 3 spots on Amazon, is vital. And that's really where keyword research and specific keyword targets for category becomes so vital, because you really want to be ranking on, let's say it's like the top 20 keywords for your category, right? Like speaking of gourmet food, if you're a chip company or like a pop chip company making healthier chips, you know, like organic chip or healthy chip is just a word that you have to win on and bid on. And you probably have to front load that bid in the beginning to kind of have higher CPCs so that you get the organic ranking for that word. And then in the long term for these events like Prime Day, once they come up, you won't have to spend as much to really rank on those words. So just knowing throughout the year, your strategy does affect these big sales days. And don't be afraid to really front load the cost per click on those vital search terms, and then let the rest of your catalog balance out the ACoS by really targeting those high conversion, low CPC words that you know you traditionally have been good on. So I would just recommend as a blanket for all the sellers who do manage their own PPC, or if your PPC is managed by us or another agency, have whoever is managing the PPC go through all of the old campaigns and look at the year-over-year performance. If you have last year's data, you can also use the brand analytics tab in Amazon to find out for your category or for a keyword what's currently trending and ranking, as well as you can go back to that last year and kind of see from last year's Prime Day, what were the words for your category that were really popping off, and then go through your campaigns and either reactivate those old campaigns or start some new campaigns based on those top trending search terms that are going to be popping up this year for your category.
I unmuted and then muted myself. Sorry, I've got a rooster right outside the door right now. Also, for those of you who have seen me on these before, you may be familiar with Charlie at this point. He's a frequent, a frequent visitor to these webinars. We do have a question about PPC. I think I'm gonna just hold it until we talk a little bit more about advertising, because I want to see if we have some more pop in, but just know we do see your question, and we will get a little bit deeper into advertising later in the deck too. So I'm gonna now just kind of switch to the overview of everything we hope to talk about right now, because I don't want to overwhelm anyone, but I do want you to see kind of the full scope of all of the different areas of your Amazon business that are critical on Prime Day. There's not one thing on this screen right now that isn't a piece of the puzzle. It isn't something that you have to manage along with everything else for this big event. And so because of that, I want to touch on the second point here on the overview, which is why full service management. That's a big part of why we're here to talk today, a big part of the Prime Day discussion we're having internally, but also a big part of kind of the overall AO2 and Seller Labs acquisition. You know, Seller Labs, as Brandon mentioned, one of the things we have done in the past is full service account management, but it's one of those things we dabbled in, right? Not one of the things we launched in a big way. And that is something that AO2 does do in a big way. So Aman, can you tell us a little bit more about full service management for Amazon and why that's such a critical piece of this Prime Day puzzle if someone's able to do that?
100%, Jess. There's many different analogies I love to use to kind of like wrap this up in a nice nutshell, but the one that I've found myself using the most often is when you're doing full service management, you're really building out kind of like this big, like beautiful spider web of services, right? And like different areas that you can kind of target customers. So let's say you're only doing that PPC management, right? That's kind of like one string of that spider web. And the more different sales channels you add to that web, right? Like you're adding in Facebook marketing, you're adding in a Shopify store, you're adding in Wayfair, whatever it is, you're only going to kind of grow that web and increase the likelihood that you're going to find your ideal target customer on one of those platforms. So really having a well built out funnel for sales, not just on Amazon, but outside of Amazon to really drive traffic to whatever your main sales channel is, right? And like that might be Shopify, because we all know that Amazon fees like to be inconsistent and raise all the time. So it's not vital that Amazon is your number one source of sales. However, it is vital to have that Amazon presence to really establish validity in the space, right? And around that, you just want to make sure that you're building up the other channels to kind of match your Amazon offering. And we always like to say 80-20 rule here at AO2, right? So you don't have to include 100% of your catalog on every one of these sales channels, but really including like the top 20% of the items at least that you know are going to sell on each of these channels. And then going through and picking like channel specific. For Facebook, you might know that with a higher CPC, you're going to have a higher cost per acquisition for a customer. So you only want to put your bigger or more pricier bundles on there so that you're not like overspending on advertising, then losing profits on the sale, right? And then on Amazon, or let's say on your website, you can probably post all of your items or a larger catalog that you know you can target with individual ACoS targets, individual CPCs, and be profitable per sale. So I would say full service management is just essential as you're growing your brand, because you can only grow so much on one channel. And the more visibility you have between each channel is just going to drive each of them exponentially to grow together and get you more sales.
Yep, absolutely. So true. Agree 100% with all of that. And, super excited that we have opportunities to bring so many more of those services and, just that all that help to the Seller Lab side of the business as well. All right, want to jump into dates and deadlines. Aman, you already said we don't know the date of Prime Day yet. So sorry if you joined us. I know that's always kind of an angle for anybody joining any Prime Day webinar. We're kind of hoping that this is going to be the big reveal, that somebody has that, secret information. We don't. It's not been announced yet. Sometimes we try and kind of like backtrack it based on some deadlines that Amazon has given us and make some assumptions. But this year, they haven't really released many dates around Prime Day or deals or anything. The only things I've seen, and Aman, feel free to chime in here, correct me if I'm wrong. I know there was a date for when to submit certain deal types for Prime Day week, and that was Prime exclusive deals, and that has passed. And then they have told us that there is a June 15th deadline, which is coming up next week, to get your inventory into Amazon for those Prime Day deals. And that tends to correspond more with like the big deals, so the lightning deals and that sort of thing. Have you seen any other deadlines or, dates come through, or is this kind of all they've told us this year?
Yes, so definitely for inventory, what we've been noticing across our sellers is that Amazon is actually indexing that inventory a lot faster this year and getting it into their system. I know back in December, January, February, they're having those really restrictions on those inventory limits, and that was causing like huge pain points for a lot of our sellers. And since they've lifted those restrictions, we're noticing the past few months like inventory actually is indexing fairly fast and getting into Amazon. So I would say if you haven't sent out a shipment right after this call, like hustle, get over to your warehouse and definitely send in some extra inventory for Prime Day for your top items. The other deadlines, oh, sorry, go ahead, Jess.
Real quick, I just want to ask a question on that, since you mentioned that Amazon is indexing that inventory more quickly. So a lot of times what we try to do with, guessing that Prime Day date is we know on average it takes Amazon about 5 weeks, they say to receive their inventory. So we kind of guess, well, Amazon's gonna say the deadline is June 15th. So that means Prime Day is probably somewhere around July 15th or in that next week. But do you, with them indexing more quickly, do we think that's just them ramping up for Prime Day, or do you want to wager a guess? Do you think that means that Prime Day might be happening a little earlier this year or still around that mid-July dating?
Yeah, I would anticipate that mid-July date. I know they always want to have as much preparation for shipping so that they can hit the delivery times, because people are going to be putting together bulk orders and then ordering everything to come within 2 days shipping. So they're going to want to allow themselves space for everything from the different fulfillment centers to kind of bundle into wherever the master fulfillment center is going to be for each shipment. The one thing I will note too is, depending on your category, like we have noticed that smaller items are getting indexed faster, which usually tends to be the case. So definitely, like, it's probably too late for this Prime Day, but like one thing you'll want to do moving forward for your catalog is FBA remeasurements to make sure that they're charging you correctly per SKU and per unit. And then also seeing if you are eligible for any small and light shipping or compact by design that will allow you to save on those fulfillment fees and then hopefully get inventory index faster if that is kind of a recurring issue that you face Prime Day or not.
All right, great. Awesome information. I want to jump over real quick to promotions. I know we're not going to have time today. I want to make sure we get into, some of the questions as well. So I know we're not going to have time to deep dive into any of these topics, but I think promotions is a big one that is so important for Prime Day. We already kind of talked about how we've missed some deadlines for some of the promotional types, but do you have any recommendations for the best deal types to run, or what people should be doing, or products, just general best recommendations, promotions, and deals for Prime Day?
100%, Jess. One thing I would say is don't always believe Amazon, because I actually had a seller message me this morning that even though that deal's deadline has passed, they were able to get a Prime exclusive discount in today, starting from scratch. And I don't know if that's going to be the case for every seller. I do know if you previously submitted a Prime deal before the deadline and it's now showing that there's errors on it, do not worry. You still have up to 2 days, I believe, before Prime Day, or a week maybe, to edit that deal and get it fully in. So if you are seeing any notifications in your deals that like a deal is incomplete or not ready to be run, definitely go ahead and edit it and make sure it's compliant so that you don't miss out on running that deal. And that's kind of where I wanted to start. Aside from that, if you're not able to run those Prime exclusive discounts, lightning deals, or that Amazon deal of the day that you do want to run because the deadline is too late, we highly, highly recommend doing a sale price or a coupon, or even a combination of both. Generally, you know, with Prime Day deals going to be at like 20% or more with just that Prime exclusive discount, it really only makes sense to run deals on items that you can discount that high and still make a margin on. Definitely, if you're noticing your competitors are only discounting 5 or 10% and you can match that across other items, go for it for sure. And one thing you can do to maximize visibility across your catalog or increase that average order value is do a buy one, get a percentage off, or a buy one, get one deal, which you can set up through the promotions area. And that way you're not only dragging more attention to other listings in your catalog and more ASINs in one deal, you're also getting a higher average order value if people are ordering multiple items from your brand. So definitely make use of those two promotion types if you're not able to run the normal Prime exclusive discounts, because they will help you kind of maximize your per value.
Yeah, absolutely great. Really great point there. One more thing I wanted to note about promotions is, as you mentioned, like people who had already submitted Prime exclusive deals or maybe missed that deadline, and some people are being able to see those, your deals dashboard for lightning deals, 1-day deals, that sort of thing. Check on those again too, because if you previously didn't have a deal available, or you previously didn't like any of the deals that were available to you, as things move and shift around for Prime Day, Amazon does open up new deals. They do, shoot new things out to your dashboard. So take a look at that and see if there is a deal that's showing up for you now for the Prime Day window that you might be interested in taking advantage of, because those things do continue to show up. And just like Aman mentioned with the Prime exclusive deals, where you still have time, to edit those right up until the event, the same would be true of your lightning deals and that sort of thing as well. All right, we've got about 9 minutes left, and there's 2 topics I definitely want to cover here. Prime Day for FBM and after Prime Day. One of those you prefer to touch on first, Aman, that you feel more excited about?
Let's do, honestly, I would say reserving the time for after Prime Day, but definitely want to touch on a couple points for FBM. So why don't we start with FBM, run through it quickly, and then close out strong with after Prime Day.
Perfect. So yeah, what are some tactics, or what are some things, because I know a lot of people think Prime Day is for Prime, which means FBA, which that is like the concept behind it, but there's still opportunities for FBM, right?
100%. And there's a great way to capitalize with your FBM orders. So again, many of the deal types that we just mentioned, those are going to be great to kind of drive that average order value up, and then it'll be easier for you as a seller to do shipping, because you can package multiple items together with a buy one, get one, or percentage off deal to just ship out all those orders in one. Additionally, with it being an FBM order, you can kind of do more custom product inserts. You can do some more custom packaging for Prime Day and make your customers feel special. And that'll probably incentivize some better reviews, or at least drive some of that review conversation or conversation around your brand. A big thing we have noticed on the FBM space is definitely not charging for shipping, and including the shipping price in the cost of the product is something you're going to want to do to kind of drive that traffic and drive attention to your thing. We've noticed that tends to drive conversions down.
Great. Thank you. Good information there. And Aman, just so you know, you were breaking up a little towards the end of that. I think we caught it all, but if anybody has any follow-up questions on the FBM stuff, please do drop them in the Q&A. We won't have time to get all the questions today for sure. Prime Day is always such a hot topic. We've got a lot of questions coming in, but if there's anything else you have specifically questions about Prime Day for FBM, drop those in the Q&A. We'll make sure to follow up with you after the fact. And let's try to cover after Prime Day, because I think there's so much to do there. Even for sellers, brands, products that aren't hot for Prime Day, you're still going to be able to kind of do a lot with the traffic and the information from Prime Day, right?
100%. And actually, I want to back up a second, say to the days leading up to Prime Day. We highly, highly recommend, obviously, do your SEO optimizations, get your listings ready. And in addition, you're going to want to run your deals probably a couple days before. If you're running a sales price or a coupon, or however you're doing your deals this year, let's say you have a Prime exclusive discount set to run for the event. we highly recommend for the beginning of the week, if Prime Day is going to be on like a Wednesday or a Thursday, for the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday leading up to the event, definitely have an incremental or a small or similar deal available on your listings to drive that traffic and keep them hot and keep their ranking high. And then in addition to after the event, you're going to want to keep those same deals running for a day or two after. So that'll kind of just maintain the sales velocity for the week and keep them highly ranked. For your advertising campaigns, again, same thing, kind of recommend adjusting the budgets to be a little bit higher for the entire week of Prime Day. We like to say at AO2, it's not Prime Day event, it's a Prime Week event, because we know like for 7 days up to 10 days, usually we see increased traffic, increased clicks, increased conversions on everything. So that would kind of be like the quick guide for before and after Prime Day to maximizing.
And because you mentioned, or because we were talking about after Prime Day, I'm going to ask a question here that came from the Q&A, and it's one that I feel very strongly about, but it's something that I think a lot of times, experts on Amazon have different opinions on. So this is coming from Joan. Hi, Joan. We love you. Does it make sense to introduce Christmas items on Prime Day, or is it a wasted effort? So I have an opinion, and I will say my opinion, then it'll be interesting, Aman, to see if you have a different opinion. If you're going to launch your Christmas item at some point in the year, I don't think Prime Day is a bad day. It may not get all of the exposure you're hoping for, but it could get more. And because of all the things that Aman just talked about with all that increased traffic and people seeing the listing, you could definitely get a lift from launching it around Prime Day. It's not guaranteed, but if you have the time, maybe it won't hurt. I don't know. Aman, what do you think?
100%. Like, I don't think it could hurt. And I think if you can strategically launch it, my recommendation for that specific case would be to launch a new section on your brand store and really drive sponsored brand ads to a page where you can add multiple Christmas items. So that maybe if someone just does a Christmas search, you can display right at the top, right? Because those sponsored brand ads do give you really that top banner placement. And you can make sure like you check the box in the filters to enable that campaign to have that top placement. And that'll just make sure that number one, you're driving like proper traffic to your storefront. And you can track that data kind of separately through the storefront data analyzer. And then really, again, you're not just driving traffic to one product, you're driving it to multiple products. And then if they're not interested in Christmas items at the time and they just click, they still have the option to go through the rest of your storefront and access all the other items in your catalog. So I would say in order to kind of like maximize your strategy and not waste any ad spend and still gain that brand visibility, drive the traffic to your brand store instead of to that single product, and it won't be a waste, even if it's Prime Day.
Also, great suggestions. So yeah, Joan, there's your answer. And I want to jump into some more Q&A real quickly. I want to launch a poll here. We do, as Nathan mentioned earlier, we have a takeaway for you. It is very specific. It's about your profitability and, how you can maximize on that on Amazon. So we've just launched that poll. If everybody will just take a second, if you're interested, select yes. We'll make sure we follow up with you after the case. If not, that's okay too. We'll give you a couple seconds here to answer that. I do like to wrap up on time. I like to be really respectful of everyone's time here. So we'll do the poll. We've got time for about 2 more questions, but please keep dropping your questions in. If we don't get a chance to answer it, I know I already said, we will make sure to follow up with you after the fact. And then you will get a follow-up email tomorrow with the recording and with some contact information. So if you have questions you didn't ask here, we'll make sure to follow up with you and, get you answers as long as you reply to that email as well. All righty, so we're going to wrap up the poll here, just about 9 more seconds, and then we'll start jumping into some questions. So Aman, this is the one that came in earlier about PPC. I'll go ahead and let you answer this one really quickly. If I need to run Prime Day specific PPC to boost that specific day deals, do I need to focus on Prime Day related keywords or product specific keywords?
Great question. My recommendation, as I mentioned earlier, is there's kind of like those 20 to 30, maybe more keywords per category that you really want to be ranking on and like having a high ranking on and having a high spend on initially and front loading them so that in the long term, you have that high organic ranking. I would say if you haven't tested Prime Day keywords before, definitely dedicate a small budget toward testing them. But overall, I think you're going to get more impressions and less conversions from that traffic. I would recommend really doubling down on those category specific keywords and product specific keywords that you know are relevant to your product. And a great way to get those is going through your customer reviews, seeing what people really like about your product, and then using those as keyword targets in broad phrase and exact match. And again, really driving that traffic to a storefront page where you can display all of your deals or all of your items is going to be a better practice if you are doing testing, because that way you're not just missing out on those conversions and you're able to drive traffic elsewhere if people aren't interested in that single item. But to wrap it up, definitely, I would say if you've never done Prime Day keyword testing, dedicate a small budget, maybe 10 to 15% compared to what else you're spending, and then dedicate the majority of your budget to those high ranking category keywords. And again, you can find those via brand analytics, or we like to use Helium 10 in-house.
Got it. Okay, we've got one more here. Understand we're at the time. If anybody needs to drop off, we're going to answer one more, and then anything else, promise we will follow up with you after the fact. So this one, have you run any specific tactics for Prime Day driving traffic from off Amazon that you find particularly beneficial? Want to make sure we address this one because this is such a huge topic right now.
100%. So last year we actually experimented for the first time with driving TikTok videos through Spark Ads and using Amazon attribution. And we noticed that this had a huge lift for specifically Prime Day, because Amazon themselves spend so much on marketing and advertising for Prime Day just on Amazon TV or on like regular cable. I don't know if anyone's seen, I know I've been seeing a ton of them, but in general, awareness around Prime Day now every year is pretty big, just around like the culture and the community and on social media. So using TikTok to bring that brand awareness and then drive traffic at cheaper CPCs, and then again, using that brand referral bonus to get 15% back is a great strategy for like small boosts, as long as you kind of have like that like UVP figured out and what people are liking about your product, that you can have a UGC influencer kind of create a video behind. That is one great strategy. And then the blanket strategy, which I always recommend year round, is driving traffic from Google to Amazon. And the reason is because Amazon A+ and you in general, Amazon enhanced content, the metadata on that does rank on Google. And so when you tie that metadata into the keywords that you use on your listings, plus the keywords used on Google Ads, you can actually drive traffic directly from Google to your storefront and have that be high ranking traffic that then kind of has a effect that boosts your Amazon ranking and your Google ranking at the same time. So in short, year round, drive traffic from Google to Amazon. And then in the short term for specific events, driving traffic from TikTok to Amazon has been good for a sales boost.
Great. Thank you so much for squeezing that last one in. I thought it was something that, we definitely wanted to address here. I want to make sure it's kind of on people's minds. So everybody who hung out with us for these extra 2 minutes, really appreciate it. Aman, thank you so much for sticking out this whole hour. And again, just want to reiterate, it's so important to us to answer all your questions and to talk to you directly about the things you're curious about for Prime Day. So we will get back to you on the rest of these questions. And then, as I said before, when you get that follow-up email, if you have more questions, it will have contact information. Reach out, get in touch with us. We'd love to talk to you some more. Aman, any last words from you before we wrap this up?
Just want to thank everyone so much for joining. We are all so excited about this merger. As Brandon mentioned, it's been a month in the works of getting everything systematized, and we will. I heard like a lot about the reporting, and that is really like the #1 project I'm working on personally right now with the team. So really excited to have updates there, and I'll be rolling them out to all of our sellers and the community as we have them. The last note I want to make is if anyone has any specific questions about Prime Day for their business, please feel free, shoot me an email, reach out to me on LinkedIn, anything you want to do to get in touch, and I'm happy to answer those questions as well.
That sounds great. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone, and we will see you at the next webinar. Enjoy the rest of your day.